So you've never done one of these before?
Nope.
Have you ever been on, like, YouTube or...
I don't post YouTube videos. Well, I did for, like, a project, but that's not, you know.
What was your project about?
It was about magnesium. That's about it.
Tell me about magnesium, Khushi.
I don't know anymore.
MG.
Is 12 the atomic? No, that's carbon. What am I doing? It's like 20 something. I don't know anymore. That's grade 9.
I saw this cool mug. I think it was on Facebook. There's this mug. You know how they advertise things, right? And it had all the elements. Not all the elements, but it's spelt because.
With elements?
Science.
Oh.
I want that mug for Christmas. That and like a Stranger Things sweater.
Oh my god, I love Stranger Things. Like, I'm going home today and I'm watching the last episode of the first season. I just love that show right now.
You're on number 10. You've watched everything. How did you...
Not everything,
so you saved
but the first season, just on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're on the last episode.
Yeah.
That's the... Wow. So you've saved that last episode to savor for the last one.
We saw 2 yesterday, me and my dad and my brother, and now we're going to watch the last one today.
Who's your favorite character?
I like 11, but I don't really...
Millie Bobby Brown. She's great.
She loves Eggo so much.
Barb.
Oh yeah, Barb, but she's pretty much gone.
She's not coming back.
Yeah, it was disgusting when the stuff was coming out of her. Ugh. Is Will gonna die? I think they're gonna bring Will back because he's
well, he's back, but he's maybe not all back. Because something came out of his... Whoa, okay, never mind.
Okay, don't tell me anything.
I forgot that... Okay, I'm not saying anymore.
Okay, thank you.
I forgot that was the episode. Okay, never mind.
Okay.
Zip. I'm not good at...
We'll talk about it tomorrow, because then I'll be...
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure. So, Khushi.
Hey.
What's going on?
In our school?
No, with you.
Oh, with me? I'm great. How are you?
I'm good too.
Good.
It's been a strange week. But,
why?
I don't know. There's been a few things that have happened that have been odd to me.
Oh.
But that's okay.
That's good. Well, I've had an interesting week, but I've just been watching a lot of Netflix, that's all.
Yeah? Are you a cord cutter? Do you still have cable?
Yeah. I just love Netflix.
Yeah.
It's better.
I have no cable now.
So you only watch Netflix?
Yeah. Basically.
Wow, that's good.
So Netflix, YouTube, that pretty much covers everything.
Yeah, it does.
And it's much cheaper.
Yeah, it's like $9 or $10 every month. Pretty good.
For sure. So what's going on with the school?
Well, next week on the 25th, we have our Spirit Day coming up. It's formal day. And at lunchtime, we're doing a fashion show. And there's going to be pizza for whoever participates. Yeah.
Where's the fashion show going to be?
In the gym.
In the gym? Are you going to set up a runway?
Yeah, probably.
So like a real fashion show?
Yeah.
Cool.
We'll see what we can do in a week.
Have you got some models?
No, but we're encouraging people to dress up for that day. And we're pretty sure people will join in.
Oh, I see. So whoever dresses up on the day, you'll put on the runway.
Yeah, anyone can join, whoever's dressed up.
Have you found a host?
Yeah, Mr. Turpin.
Mr. Turpin. I was just going to say, he'd be perfect.
Yeah, he's going to announce everyone's names.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
On the runway.
He'll have some comments. It'll be funny.
Yeah.
What else is going on?
Well, the Christmas assembly's coming up in December, and we're going to have Kiss a Fish, so we're going to be fundraising money for that. So there's going to be a couple of teachers and grade 12s nominated, and they're each going to have a jar, and whoever wants that teacher or that person to kiss a fish for about 10 seconds, they should put money in their jar, and the person with the most money gets to kiss the fish.
Awesome. That's always
we have some people in mind. Mr. Prideaux, he doesn't want to do it, but we're going to try to get him to do it. Money from grade 12. And Miss Miller, we were thinking about it. And Mr. Fernandez, but I don't think he's going to do it.
Well, it's the ones who don't want to do it that you want to get up there, right?
Yeah, because everyone wants them to do it.
I find the Christmas assembly is one of our best assemblies.
Yeah, they're funny. We're going to try to make it better this year.
Yeah, it's the last day before Christmas vacation, and Everybody's in a cheery mood.
Yeah, everyone's more jumpy and relaxed. So.
And we'll have the Thanks for Giving teacher challenges finally showing on that day too. So that's going to be lots of fun. I already know one of the ones that's going to happen,
Which
but
one?
I'm not going to tell
Oh,
you.
not going to say it?
Nope.
Okay. We'll find out.
On the day. No
We're
spoilers.
looking forward to it. Okay.
No spoilers. Anything else?
Well, the winter formal's coming up. I think people will really enjoy that. Everyone's already asking their dates to go with them.
Aww.
Yeah, it's cute. Everyone's
That's
getting
cute.
excited about that. The tickets are on sale right now and next week for a couple of days. And we asked the grade 10s to do it too now. So it's grade 10, 11, and 12.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it includes the grade 10s this time.
Yeah.
Have we done that before?
I think we did it 2 years ago.
Oh, we did.
But last year there was no dance. So
Oh, that's going to be fun.
yeah.
Yeah. Good. Anything else? That's pretty much it?
I don't think so, yeah. I just hope everyone has a good Christmas vacation.
Oh, I think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to skiing and snowboarding.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Do you do that?
No, I'm too scared to do that.
You're going to have to try.
Tubing is easy. That's fun.
Or tubing. Yeah, that's fun too. All right, thank you, Khushi.
No problem.
Thanks for coming in.
See ya.
High five.
Yeah.
Oh,
wait.
missed.
Oh, wait.
Again. So you done your report cards?
All done.
I heard you turned it in late.
Well, yeah, I tried to do the best I can, but yesterday at 12 in the morning, that's
That's when the system shuts down.
That's right, yeah, I wasn't quite sure of that. Right now, no. Are we going? Okay. Yeah, that's when the system shuts down. Yeah, I was not aware of that. So, people like me, right, definitely space things out. But when work gets overloaded, I'm definitely more of a night owl, so I try to stay a bit longer. But that one definitely kind of jumped out of the bushes and punched me in the face. So, yeah.
I think a few people punched you in the face today. Not literally, but trying to get your report card marks in.
Yeah,
But it happens. I mean, it happened to all of us.
Yeah, that. And also, some people have seen my dance moves, right? A couple of students actually came up to me and did a little, what's it called? A little dance jig that was quite familiar with what I did, right? So I'm pretty sure Mr. Nikic was able to go around and show people that video, which no one else will see, by the way, just saying.
For people who don't know, Mr. Nikic happened to be at a particular birthday party. Mm-hmm. And he sent this video around of you enjoying a little dance. I'm not going to describe it any further because it'll give it away. But it was a good dance. I don't know what you call that dance in particular. Do you have a name for that?
Yeah, I think I'm going to call it the sideways wiggle. I kind of like the name of that, the sideways wiggle. Not only that, but... yeah, no, it was pretty much me just up there, just kind of pumping my fists and kind of shaking my hips. I just gotta say that I never really was one for dancing. A lot of people can dance quite naturally, but whenever I tried it, I kind of look like a robot, right? Like not one that's really good and fluid, but one that's broken. So I tend to kind of steer away from that as much as possible. But you just might be in for a surprise. I have a feeling that Mr. Nikic just couple of things up his sleeves, and I just might be seeing that on full screen somewhere. It terrifies me to think that, but I honestly think that could happen, so hold on to your seats.
Knowing Mr. Nikic, I'm sure he's going to make it viral. That's just how he is.
Oh, yeah. I know. Yeah. We can make him viral, right?
I mean, watching you dance on that video, that just seems like your personality. You like to get out there, do your crazy dance, literally and figuratively. Mm-hmm. That's just your personality. Can you explain where that comes from? Like, how are you... Like, I guess people who know you and students as well, they see you as very outgoing and excited, and like we saw you out there at different events like T4G and stuff like that. You can get up there and talk when we asked you to go up there and talk, you said, yeah, sure. Right?
Yeah.
So what's that all about?
So it's just always kind of been who I am, as students will tell you too, and as, staff knows, right? All my other colleagues, right? That's just really just been my personality since day one. So I've just never really been afraid of just kind of being myself in front of other people. I don't really. Yeah, I definitely do get nervous. I'm not going to say the first time I ever went up and public spoke like that. So for those of you guys who don't know, when I was up at Thanksgiving and made that speech, that was the first time that I actually went up and spoke publicly. I'm not even joking.
Really?
In a crowd that large. Yeah, for sure. And it might have seemed like I was, calm and collected, but, which I was. I felt comfortable. But, deep down, I'd be lying if I didn't tell you that, there was definitely a little fire blazing inside. I was a little bit nervous, right, when I looked around and saw, 400, 500 eyes on me, right? The mayor was looking at, she was sitting right behind me as well. So, definitely a little nerve-wracking, but I definitely do. I've been told that I seem more comfortable than the average person would be, and I think that all just comes down to answer your question, the whole ADHD thing, right? So I do want to expand on that because I actually told all my students. So right away when I go into my classrooms, I tell my students that I have it, right? And it kind of makes me who I am, right? So I think it kind of comes from that, do something and then think about it after, so I think that kind of adds on to that as well. I got no worries about talking about that. I think awareness is something that, kind of steer stigma away from it, right? And I'm definitely the kind of person, I've done some research on it during my university years, and I think that there's a lot of positives to be gained from that. And I want to, let students know and everyone else know that, what could be, seen as a quote-unquote disorder could actually be your strongest asset, right? So it's kind of like kryptonite.
or I guess kryptonite or reverse kryptonite.
I was just going to say, if you're Lex Luthor, I was just going to add that in, but then I just decided to lean back. I wish I did now. Yeah.
So, you were diagnosed earlier on?
Yeah, when I was 7 years old, I was diagnosed.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Okay. And what were the first clues of that from your parents?
Well,
or from your teachers?
It was more from my teachers, for sure. I was definitely the student that would make your hair go gray. I'm speaking to you directly, person to person here, Mr. Kung, right? Being here on the other side of the table as a teacher right now, if I had myself in the classroom, right, I just might have retired. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm obviously joking, but definitely the teachers always said that I was very restless. I had a hard time focusing. I'd always distract and annoy people. Definitely when I was younger, I definitely had the label that I was quite an annoying individual, right? Not just to parents and to adults, but to other friends and family as well, right? So other friends that I met in school thought that I was really hella annoying, right? So at the same time, there was something about me that kind of drew me to them. They thought I was quite a unique individual. So I think that's what I can tell you. Again, distractibility. I talked quite a bit, right? Talked a lot. Tend to go off topic, hard time focusing. I'd fidget a lot, right? So I'd drum my fingers, shake my leg. Again, gotta go back to it. I just spoke really fast, and these are the symptoms the doctor said, hey, I think this guy just might have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, right? It's emphasis on the hyperactivity part there. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like I've been teaching here for 13 years. It's not like I've never seen that before. I've seen that quite a lot. But when you said you were annoying, was that like you trying to be annoying, or was that, I think a lot of us, to some extent, I know I get irritable when I have to sit there for a long time. I know I get irritable when it's about stuff that I'm not particularly interested in. So I think there's a little bit of that, at least in everybody. But in terms of what you experienced, I guess it was heightened to a greater extent. How were you annoying to your teachers, do you think?
Well, all my teachers wanted, of course, was, teaching's gone a very different direction than when I was a student. I'm going to say that 100%. Whereas back in the day, teachers kind of had this I guess you could say these expectations, they're very solid, right? And you had to fit into this mold, and if you didn't, then, quote unquote, you're a problem child, right? So that's what they told my mom and my dad, right? Directly when they had meetings, like, John's like a problem child, he doesn't fit into your average mold, right? Of course I don't, because I'm not your average person, right? I guess you could say, quote unquote. So to answer your question, I didn't fit into this mold that they had expectations of me, of sitting down there, listening when I was bored. They always wanted me to, always pay attention again, always participate, and always progress forward, right? Even with things that I wasn't quite interested in, right? So if anyone out there, teachers, staff, and students alike, if anyone has ADHD, you know that if you're bored with something, right, there is no way, right, that you will continue, being enthusiastic or passionate about it, because simply, why, waste your time, because you will, lose interest so quickly, right, that you'll sit there and find something else to latch your attention on. So my behaviors that came up because of that, I was, again, like, poking people beside me, right, like when I was in elementary school, like, blowing in their ear, just for fun, because I was so bored about learning about, like, for example, the process of how, like, trees convert oxygen into, like, carbon dioxide, right? For some people, that's very interesting, right? Like you, Mr. Kung, you might find that really fascinating, right? I found that dreadfully boring, so I'd turn around and see my friend Omir, and I'd blow in his ear and poke him, right, with a pen and stuff like that, and it would drive teachers absolutely nuts, right? And I didn't quite understand what I was doing, but that's exactly how, my behavior manifests, especially in elementary school years. Absolutely, yeah.
So how do you think teaching has changed over the years you mentioned that things you seem to have mentioned that something's improved.
Oh,
so
sure,
what do you think has changed to help with kids who are like that now?
I think the mindset has changed. 100% the mindset of teachers have changed, and their expectations and their support. I guess you could say that the mindset of how they support students, right? Whereas before it was, here's a circular type of mold. If you're a square, if you're a star, you don't fit in, right? You're pretty much going to get left out, right? So a good example of that is one time in grade 3 when I first got diagnosed, the teacher then, my grade 3 teacher, instead of, finding different learning modules, right, different activities that fit my needs, she automatically labeled me as a bit of an outcast. So she'd put a little table at the side of the corner of the room, and she made me sit all alone and kind of do my own thing, right? And, growing up, especially when you're grade 3, it actually has like a pretty tremendous effect on you. Even when, like, teachers say something mean to you, right? It actually has like a lasting effect. I'll remember I felt so hurt when she did that even when I think about it now, like, it kind of, it definitely, like, hurts you a bit, right? And I think that's what's changed quite a bit. Now, before it was the teacher's always right. Here's a mold, you have to fit through it. And now, the reason I became a teacher, and what I was so happy to see during my time, here at Delview and in the Delta School District, is the mentality isn't, here's a mold, you have to fit to it, but it's, I'm the teacher, right? We're the teachers. We know that everyone's different. We got to make lessons, right? And we got to make expectations fit for everybody and not just one kind of person. And that's exactly how I kind of go about doing my, how I go about doing my projects in class, right? I guess you could say if I do have tests, right, I make it so students have choice, right? If students are, for example, not very, if they get nervous when it comes to presentations, right? I don't make them feel uncomfortable. I don't make them feel bad. I give them choice in doing other assignments that still showcase that they're how they learned, right? So I really like that about how teaching's gone nowadays, and how the focus isn't the teacher but more the students, and that really fits in with how my philosophy is based on how I was treated when I was in grade 3 up till grade 7, right? So terribly.
No, I would agree with that. I think teachers at this school, because that's all I know, they make a pretty good effort of trying to work on empathy and trying to figure out what is going on in a student's lives. Because with a student's life, there's so many things going on at home, there's so many things going on at school, it's high school, right? There's relationships, there's different issues going on. And so when you think of it as, like, there is a story to every person, and adults included, then you start thinking about why they're behaving the way they are behaving, because there's a reason for that. It's not like they're just out to get you or anything like that. So you have to find ways in which you can enrich their lives, right? And the same method doesn't fit for everybody. No,
there is no, like, the whole fad that there is, like, one method for everyone is rather ridiculous, right? Because everybody's different. Everyone's a different person. I'd say the way that they're raised and, what their, I guess you could say their interests are really determine who they are and how they learn too, right? So some people absolutely love sitting down and listening to a lecture, right? If someone's just talking at you, I will give me about 20 minutes and I'll be asleep, right? You know what I mean? But get me engaged and get me doing research and teaching my peers and doing collaborative work. I actually learn the best that way. But again, it's different for everyone. So, you got to be malleable, right? You got to mold your teaching style to everyone else's needs. So I agree with that 100%.
So you were diagnosed at 7.
Yeah.
How did you? What were some ways that you dealt with ADHD throughout your life? Like you're an adult now.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhat.
That's a symptom, right? Child in an adult's body, right? And there's that's something that I pride myself in. But as you probably know, I'm a bit of a child, right? How do I deal with it? So people have to know that ADHD is actually quite a complicated, I guess you could say, behavioral disorder, right? I don't even consider it disorder, right? Forget that. I think it's just who I am, right? And I wholeheartedly embrace it like a child embraces a teddy bear after winning, a big teddy bear at, those little dart games at the carnivals, right? That kind of stuff, right? Maybe the big red one. So,
that's a good metaphor.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. So, when you're young, ADHD, it looks different. So you're energetic. You tend to, poke other people. You have this pent-up energy in the pit of your stomach where you have to get the energy out. So I kind of take that back, not just poking people. That's not a symptom, right? But that's a manifestation of the energy you have in your stomach, right? So some people with ADHD tend to zone out. Some people are very athletic and they're very focused on one thing. Some people can't sit still. They fidget. They interrupt teachers in the speaking, interrupt parents that are speaking. And for others, a general, I guess you could say, universal type of symptom is, if people with ADHD aren't interested in something, right, they're pretty much drop their interest completely, right? It's not that I don't want to do that or we don't want to do that, right? If I can use that label, right? It's just that it's very difficult for me to focus on something when that happens. So when I was younger, I didn't know what to do. Again, like I told you, because I was always labeled and I was kind of seen as an outcast, I always had this negative connotation of myself. I was kind of very, very hard on myself, right? I was kind of ashamed of myself for having it.
Were you an outcast by the adults, or
by the adults?
Also outcast by your friends?
By peers? A little bit of both. More definitely so the adults. I had a really good close group of friends, so I didn't really quite feel that much, but I felt like an outcast amongst my peers when, my grades weren't as good as theirs, right? And you definitely kind of feel bad about that. Just, you think to yourself, I'm trying so hard. Why are my grades, why am I not as good as everyone else, right? And these questions start to come up. You start to kind of think about it yourselves without anyone have to telling you. So, when I was younger, I definitely had a lot of that going on. So because the adults were so keen on telling me, that I wasn't performing as well as I should be, that there's something wrong with me, I put myself down and got a little depressed, I'm not going to lie about that. But then when I became an adult, actually right when I was 16, 17, that's when the symptoms of ADHD change quite a bit. So it's not energy that comes out anymore. It's adult ADHD. The symptoms are you're more disorganized, right? You're energetic, but you don't have that pent up energy anymore. It goes from being like a big pent up ball of energy to disorganization, right? So organization skills become very difficult, right? Hence the
report cards.
The late report cards, yeah. So sorry, Miss Kyle. Sorry, Miss Stevens. But again, that's just one example of that, right? I deal with that as an adult by downloading apps and using techniques to organize myself as best as possible. So if you ask students, if you ask other people, just this one instance where I couldn't get the report cards done, but generally speaking, people say that I'm quite organized. I'm here very early. My classes are always organized. Everything gets done on time. I plan ahead, but it's not a very simple process for me. I literally have 4 apps that I use to organize myself. I use Wunderlist, iPhone app, the Google app for calendars, right? A priority list, tons of apps to help me out with that. And through the years, I've come to, I guess you could say, organize myself by the use of technology, which is something that I'm sure makes you quite happy to hear, right? It's helped me out a lot.
I mean,
so, yeah.
I use some of the same apps myself. I have
awesome.
I don't use that. I use just the iPhone one, but to-do list.
Mm-hmm.
I have a to-do list. I've got notes. I've got notes all over the place. I've got my calendar always beeping all the time. That's because, earlier on in my life, I found myself being very forgetful. And so I've had to write things down. Otherwise, I just forget. Mm-hmm. So, I guess we all find ways to sort things out. And over time we find strategies to deal with it, and then we're fine. We can function.
Mm-hmm. Certainly, to the best of our abilities.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, can you talk a little bit about your childhood? Like, what was it like? You grew up in Richmond, just like me. Mm-hmm. What was that like?
Richmond is awesome. Yeah.
You have a brother?
I've got 2 half brothers. Yeah.
2 half brothers. Okay.
Yeah. So they're 43 and 42 this year. So a bit of an age gap, but they're on my dad's side, and they're my 2 half brothers. And I actually learned that they were half brothers like literally like when I was 24.
Wow.
Yeah. So my parents they told me in a very unique and comical kind of way, right? Which when I think back on, it kind of makes me laugh a bit. I'm not kidding at all here, by the way, right? So
okay.
My parents, again, they're old school Korean, right? So they think if there's something that is that could be a possible issue in the family, right? Just don't bring it up, right? Just like hide it under the rug and, bring it up later when it's all done with. So I always wondered, I was like, my brothers, they got different personalities than I do, right? Like I'm very outgoing, I'm distracted, I'm very friendly, right? They're more on the aggressive side. They're very competitive. And very much type A personalities, right? Very like natural born leaders. I'm not saying I'm not a leader, but they're very much, they exude that type of energy, right? So I told my mom one time, I was like, Mom, like why are they older than I am, right? And she kind of just said, oh, we actually just wanted a daughter, so we tried again to have a daughter, but actually you came out, right? So I said, okay. So that's what I believed the entire time.
Lies.
I know. I come home from work one day. I used to landscape. I used to pave. So I was 24, 25, around that age. I'm covered in like mud, and it's like pouring rain outside, dirty, and I just want to hit the shower so badly and just make myself a nice cup of coffee, right? My dad kind of comes, grabs me by the arm and goes, John, come here. You gotta come here. I just want to show you something. I just want to get you to do this quick activity. And I was like, can I go shower first? And he says, no, you can't, right? So he brings me over. He has this like pen and paper ready for me to draw on this dinner table. So I go, what is this? And he goes, sit down and draw your family tree, right? So it took me about 20 minutes. I drew my entire family tree, right?
Wait, you're 24, you're drawing a picture of your family tree.
Yeah, so he told me to do that. So I was like, fine. Again, telling you I'm covered in mud, shivering, right? I draw the family tree, and then the branch, the arm that goes from my name to my brother's name, as he's laughing, right? So my dad says to him, he goes, you're wrong about that. He gets his pen and makes an X, like where the where the arms are. So that's what he did.
That was your introduction?
That's my introduction, right?
Oh my god.
As he's laughing. So, when I found out about that, I literally said, like, what the hell? Like, what do you mean, right? Like, my entire life a lie? Like, what's going on here, right? So, he told me, he's like, well, we thought that if we told you when you were younger that you might get bothered about that. But, yeah, so that's what he told you when you were 24. So I asked my dad, I was like, do my brothers know about that? And he goes, yeah, of course. Does mom know about that? Yeah, everyone knew except for you.
Everyone knew. Your brothers knew about this.
Yeah. So, funny, the next day was actually my graduation dinner, so we all went out together. So this coincided absolutely perfectly. We go out to Chosun Galbi, the wonderful Korean restaurant out in Burnaby. Sitting down eating, and then so I brought it up, right? I literally kind of drew on my fingertips and said, so I heard that you guys are my half brothers, right? And then the way my family reacts was absolutely quite shocking. It was quite ridiculous. So they kind of said it very as a matter of fact fashion. My brother just turned to me and said, yeah, man. Yeah. Right? My mom, she pretty much seemed kind of shocked, but, her reaction was very, it was priceless as well. She looked at me and goes, doesn't matter, right? Like, it doesn't matter at all. Like,
it's okay.
It's okay. Fine. It's okay, right? I told her, I was like, I would have liked to know it earlier, right? But, at the end of the day, I really didn't care. But yeah, that's how I knew, and it was very much
amazing.
Matter of fact kind of thing, yeah.
No, there's a TV show there somewhere. That's a comedy right there.
Send it to Netflix, right? You might be able to get some royalties off that.
But isn't there's a show right now called Kim's Family...
Kim's Convenience, something? Yeah. Yeah. which I'm actually going to tell you a really, really funny story regarding stereotypes and the Korean family, right? So Mr. Nikic was teaching stereotypes in his class. So I literally walked by, and he, of course, grabs me, right? He does this usual thing, like, "Hey, John, Mr. Kim, come over here," right? Grabs my arm, drags me in front of a whole classroom full of students.
Yeah, he does that.
He told me, he goes, "Well, we're talking about, stereotypes." He goes, "So we're talking about how this and that person, he's of Chinese descent, right? So he must own a corner store, right? This person is of, East South Asian descent, right? He or she must, his parents must drive a taxi, right?" Again, he's talking about the negative effects of stereotypes, right? So he looks at me, and as a joke, says, "So, Mr. Kim, you must own a laundromat, right?" I kid you not, my family owns a laundromat on Kingsway and Fraser, right on the corner. So I told him that, and he looks at me, deadpan eyes, and goes, "You ruined the whole thing, man." And he starts laughing.
He's trying to disprove the stereotype, but then you confirmed it.
We also do dry cleaning. Yeah, we make our own kimchi and dig it out in the backyard.
Make their own kimchi.
It's really awesome. Good. Yeah.
Well, stereotypes are there for a reason.
It's funny. I think it's pretty funny. Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
So then, when did you decide that you wanted to go into teaching?
When I was in grade 10 and 11, I knew I was going to go into teaching.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty early.
Yeah. Okay. I knew. Yeah. Well.
So, how did you know?
The reason for that was because, excuse me, I kind of thought back, and I thought this was something that I would really enjoy doing. Like, I'm very much a people person. Again, going back to ADHD, as that turned into adult ADHD, I came to the realization early that it wasn't really, again, me, it wasn't really my fault when it came to my, aversions with school, but it was more, the possibility that teachers at my school weren't really treating me well, right? So I came to this conclusion. I was like, you know what? I think if I became a teacher, I'd be much more understanding, and I think I'd really dedicate my life to making sure that other students don't have the experience that I did, right? That I wouldn't put other people down. I would support everyone individually, right, based on their needs. So I thought to myself, I think this is a really, really good profession for me to go into, right? So that was in grade 10. Grade 11, I had a really good teacher. His name was Mr. Yu. So his name was Edwin Yu over at Stevenson Secondary, right? So he was a new teacher, and he really, I really liked his teaching style. He never put me down. He always kind of encouraged me, right? And I kind of picked up on that. And then when I got to grade 12, again, I had a really good History 12 teacher. Took summer school. I'm a nerd, right? So, and her name was Miss Davidson, right, over in Richmond as well. And she actually very much did the same thing. She never ever put me down. She's very professional and very personable, right? Made a relationship with me. I wasn't just like that annoying kid in the back that interrupted her, but I was someone that she wanted to help out for my own right. So when I saw that, I thought to myself, there are people like that actually, are in the teaching profession, and I do want, to be that kind of person. So those are the kind of people that I rather strive to be like, right? So that's why I kind of got into teaching, and I haven't strayed a path since. Really, I love my job, right? You can probably always tell I got a big smile on my face, right? Yeah. I love participating and after school activities and just hanging out with students, and even just like hanging out and talking to students about everyday life and about their assignments, but not just assignments, but how their experience is like as being students, right? So I definitely enjoy the communal part of it, and as you know, right, teaching, it's not a job where it ends when you go home, right?
Oh, definitely not.
No, that's when it begins, right? So I that's how I knew I was gonna go into teaching. And again, this is another symptom of ADD, right? Veering off topic, which obviously I seem to do quite often, right? So
it's okay. You're on the right show.
Awesome.
You're totally. Yeah, I mean, at home, my wife's a teacher as well, so you can imagine the conversations, and our kids are probably going, enough of this.
Yeah.
Our kids will probably not be teachers.
Can I get the food and eat in my room?
Yeah. Pedagogy,
yeah.
rubrics. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, it definitely stays with you wherever you go. Like even when I'm on vacation, I hate to say it, like I do relax on vacation, but
you never do, right?
No. I'm taking pictures at a museum, and what am I thinking about? I'm thinking, I got to show this to my science class because this is cool stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Just constantly, this would be a good a project. So yeah, it doesn't leave you. It's like it's more like, to me, it's like a calling, right?
Yeah, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Like, for me, like when a student's having a hard time because of, again, like a personal issue, right? It does stay with you, right? It is supposed to be a lot of people do recommend just like, leaving work at work and going home. But, because you're so part of the community, because it's, a job without walls, literally and figuratively speaking, right? Sometimes like you truly personally care for that person. You're like, I just want nothing best for them, right? So it's kind of things where, empathy again, right? That's the major, ingredient for being successful, I think, right? You know what I mean?
Right,
Being
sure.
sincere empathy, not just like, hey, 3 o'clock's done, I'm going to beat my students at the door, right? That kind of thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a student teacher, and one of the things that...
He's a handsome young man.
Oh, yeah.
Nice hair.
Justin's great. I'm so lucky. I just lucked out. But, one of the things we talked about, and he understood this already, but it's about the relationships that you have with them. That's the starting point, right? Empathy, the relationship you have with them. You can't go anywhere without that.
No.
It's hard to get anywhere without that. I mean, it's not like you're buddy-buddy, but it's like you need to understand what their needs are. You need to understand where they're coming from or make an effort to.
Yeah.
And that makes you a better teacher because you care about them and you want to try to find ways to make it work, as opposed to just saying, this guy's annoying me and I don't care what his story is and that's it, right? Mm-hmm. So many barriers come up because of that kind of thing. So you really have to understand or try to understand and make an effort to do that.
It's kind of like, because you see students every day, right? So if you think about how often you're, spending time with them, it's quite a bit, right? I can barely see myself in the mirror for like 5 times a week, right?
Well,
so,
yeah, and a lot of students think of this school as home.
As home, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like you see kids, probably when we leave this interview, you'll see kids around, right?
I gotta say, I do absolutely love the school. I like the community aspect of it quite a bit, and I find that the school is one thing as well is that like from other schools, the big difference that like the activities and the leadership is really held in the hands of the student, right? And that's what's good about the school, right? And that's what's good about building leadership skills is when you give power to students and there's mutual respect where that their incentives are focused around making them a better student body, right? And that makes us as teachers happy to see that, right? So again, that's very special. Something very special about Delview. For example, in an analogy, right? The adults, our hands aren't in the cookie jar, right? We're not like controlling everything, right? So, that's something that's very special about this place, I think, as well.
Well, it probably wasn't always like that. It's something that was established over time. Mm-hmm. I mean, I come from Richmond, and you come from Richmond. I know in Richmond, I grew up going through a system that was very much about student leadership. Like strong student leadership. Everything was up to us, basically.
Yeah.
I remember being at Richmond High and being part of the student council, and we did everything. I mean, we had a sponsor teacher who was the vice principal, and he basically checked on us once in a while, but, I mean, it was all us. It was all on us. Whether we failed or succeeded, it was all on us. And when you get that kind of opportunity, you improve, right? Mm-hmm. Same thing at our school. I think a hands-on approach is great. Once in a while you check on them and make sure everything's okay in terms of how they're feeling. And, I mean, once in a while if they fall flat on their face, then, you try to coach them to learn from that as opposed to, not doing anything about it. So,
right.
Yeah, it's a good learning experience. Like I see a lot of leaders come out of here having learned a lot. Some of them are very outgoing and they have to bring it down a bit and learn to trust other people, and some of them are, not as outgoing and they have to learn to become more direct and assertive, right? So there's different people coming from different places and learning how to make it work. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's part of the experience of being at school. So it's good that a lot of our kids are very involved. Mm-hmm. So, what do you do in your spare time, Mr. Kim?
Definitely like to exercise. Again, when it comes to as you know, teaching is free time is kind of hard to comp on, right? It's kind of like finding like golden ticket, like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, right? It's like 3 in the entire world. But during the summer breaks and my winter holidays, honestly, what I enjoy doing best is spending time with family. Like I told you, exercising, playing sports like recreationally, right? I'm not like a cutthroat kind of like sports addict, right? But as you all know, my passion is definitely photography and traveling. So those two are my absolute favorites. Eating out as well, like eating out at different restaurants, right? My girlfriend once quoted that like my hobbies, if I had a Facebook profile, right, it would be interest would be eating chicken and sleeping, right? So there you go. I definitely like eating different types of food. I think languages and foods is almost like a ticket, not a ticket, but like a gateway to understanding how different cultures are, right? And I really do
for sure.
enjoy that, right? Not just like eating the food itself to enjoy it, but talking with the waiter and waitresses, right? Talking about the history of the food. I actually do this, right? Where it comes from, what's the custom of eating it, right? I do quite enjoy learning about that. So I'd say like learning about cultural differences, eating different kinds of food, traveling, photography are definitely my.
I know you've traveled a lot.
Yeah,
and I think that's probably what you're talking about in terms of talking to waitresses. I mean, you probably don't go to McDonald's and say, "Hey, where did this food come from?" I mean, we know where it comes from. It's all chemicals. But you did a lot of traveling in Asia, and have you been to Europe?
No, actually. Ironically enough, I actually haven't been to much of Asia. I've just been to Korea just to visit my family twice.
Oh, okay.
But I've done Europe. I've done a lot of the Middle East. I've done almost all of South America. I've done large chunks of Central America. I've done Mexico. And those are the areas. In Australia, of course, I did Australia as well. It's the first trip that I ever went on. So we got a camper van, and when I was of age, we drove up the entire coast, and it was absolutely beautiful and amazing. Yeah.
Wow. Have you talked to Hobson about that?
Oh, all the time. Yeah. Yeah, all the time. Yeah. Yeah.
Where's he from?
He's from Melbourne. Down south. Yeah.
That's how you say it, Melbourne.
Melbourne.
It's not Melbourne.
Yeah. That's what I thought first, and then everyone kind of told me like.
Yeah.
You're being a toss pup, man. You got to say Melbourne, right? So I kind of started saying like that from now on. So yeah.
I mean, it's such a good education when you travel, and if you get a chance, right? You get out there. It's an immersive experience, and you're forced to do things that you wouldn't normally do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Different culture. So, do you have any good stories to share?
Oh yeah.
Don't share any of the ones where you got sick, because I mean, you talked about that at lunch in the staff room, and I was just, it was a good thing I finished eating.
I think you're actually still chewing your food, weren't you?
I think I was at the end, but I have a high tolerance for that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I'm fine with it. Having had 2 kids and talking about peas and poos and diapers with other people.
I guess I am a child, that's all I talk about. I'm kidding. Excuse me. So I've told my students some stories. I'll tell you a couple actually that come to mind. So you're talking about how traveling brings out brings out the best and the worst. You're just telling me that, right? How you get put into certain situations where you wouldn't be.
Well, you're forced to.
You're
deal with it.
Yeah, and like I said, like the best and the worst comes out in you, right? So everyone knows that I'm usually very patient person, right? But there's definitely some times when you're traveling where you get a little impatient, right? So that's coming a couple times. But I'll tell you a couple stories. What I'm talking about, where I got impatient, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's very situational. So first one, anything can happen when you're traveling. Absolutely anything. So when I was in Switzerland, it was at Lake Geneva, and it was Swiss National Day, so it's fireworks going off, right? People are eating ice cream, skating around, having a great time with family, right? And then what ends up happening is me and my friends are hanging out by the beach, just enjoying the fireworks. All of a sudden, this group of Swiss kids come out. They're about 16 years old, and I was around 23 at the time, and I'm with my friends who are from Germany, right? So we traveled down south to Switzerland, hanging out there. All of a sudden, I see this altercation going on with one of the kids. He starts pushing my friend around, and again, my friend's bigger guy, right? He decides to be the bigger man and walk away, right? So he walks in, asks my Fabian, like, what's going on there? Like, what happened? He's like, there's being kids. I just wanted to kind of walk away from that. I just want to enjoy my day, so I just kind of walked away. No reason why they approached him, right? Just kind of pushed him just to be tough. I hear this weird French word, right? So I turn around, and then I see these like little yellow dots coming towards me, right? So all of a sudden, my eyes get really wet, and I pretty much just wondered to myself, like, what was that, right? So 2 seconds passes, and then I feel this incredible stinging that just like happens to come into my eye. Do you know sriracha?
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine getting that in your eye. That's what it felt like, right?
Oh.
And then it turned to habanero peppers, and then it turned to the cayenne pepper. So I slowly realized that what happened was I got pepper sprayed, right? So
Yeah.
what ended up happening was they're trying to go for my friend, but I got most of it because, it's hard to, aim with pepper spray, right, if you think about that. So they shot it from afar, and I got all of it, and my friend just got, a couple drops, right? So, again, they're trying to get him, but they got me instead. So that's what happened to me. Witnesses say that I actually just, walked towards the edge, and someone had to push me away because I was going to fall into the lake. I dropped to my knees and I opened my arms, opened my arms, started yelling, screaming, ah! And dropped to the ground and started rubbing
painful.
my eyes. Oh, it hurt so much. It hurt so much. It was the spiciest thing I've ever experienced. The spiciest thing.
And you've had some spicy things.
You know when you cut jalapeno peppers and you rub your eye with it by accident? It's like that
Never
times
done that.
times 90. I have. I did it last week, but yeah.
You gotta be
So
careful.
that was my experience, and then ambulance came. They gave me eye drops, and I woke up, and my eyes were the size of this this snowball mic here. It's really puffy.
Wow.
And it just hurt so much.
So these little Swiss kids.
Yeah.
I thought Swiss were neutral. I thought they were peaceful people. But
so did I.
And you did nothing.
Nothing.
to provoke
I
this.
didn't talk to them. Didn't look at. Did absolutely nothing. They were trying to get my friend, but they got me instead. So.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
So when you talk about becoming impatient on trips, my experience is when you're with somebody else. And this is why it's a good test of a relationship, when you're traveling, because
Yeah.
you're put into really tough situations sometimes, and you don't know the language, you're confused, you don't know where to go, you're lost. So it's a really, really stressful situation, I went to Cuba with a friend, backpacking around Cuba, and
Nice.
we didn't just go to Havana and then the resort. It was actually
Straight up, yeah.
Yeah, actually backpacking, taking cabs, and going around Cuba, and so the first time, this was a good friend of mine, and we laugh about it now, but when we were there, totally. He had flashbacks because he's from the Philippines. Oh, this is like Manila. What's going on? I was totally enjoying myself, and he would most likely stay in the hotel and just get cooped up in the hotel.
It's not leave, right?
No,
Yeah.
I guess he was shell shocked because when we landed in Havana, there was no lights because they have frequent power outages.
Right.
And I guess he wasn't expecting that. And then we had to. Bargain with the taxi cabs for a ride, and I was fine with that, but he had an issue with that. So it was all very shocking to him. My thought was, you come from Manila, you should be used to this kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But apparently not. I guess he was very privileged in the Philippines. But anyways, the whole time I just found it very funny because then I realized you really get to know a person and how they are in a tough situation in those cases, and it was okay. It turned out okay. We kind of figured out, I'm a very tolerant person, but we kind of figured out how it had to be, and he needed his time off to chill out in the hotel, and I need to go out and explore.
Yeah,
so
right.
we kind of there was times when we were together, and times we just had to split apart and do our own thing, right? So yeah, traveling is good for that. You really discover things about yourself and about other people.
Yeah, you do. And what the major, I guess you could say, the biggest lesson I learned traveling was, everyone talks so much about. We teach everyone in school here how multiculturalism, people have different differences, but you really can't fully understand, right? It's not fair for me to say that, but you get a deeper understanding of how similar people are through differences unless you go traveling, right? You really get to see how differences in culture and language and religion, those sorts of social differences, right? They're more a cause for celebration because we are all truly the same people deep down at heart. down at heart, right? We all want what's best for the world. We all want, what's best for our families and friends and community, right? So all through the world is quite like that. So a good example is when I went to, the Middle East or, like even South America, right? I was pretty naive, right? I never traveled outside North America or Australia before, and I didn't really know what to expect, right? But once you get there, you see how open-minded, how open people are, right? How they come and hug you, and how they offer to help you out, and how they welcome you into their homes and feed you, and that happened to me a couple times, right? Stuff like that, right? And having conversations with them in either Spanish or English, right? Or even in English in Europe, right? You really get to realize that like these differences are something that's an opportunity to see similarities in other people throughout the world, right? Mm-hmm. And appreciate them as well for who they are. Uniquely, right? So that's something I quite learned. Yeah, I love it.
Well, yeah, I mean, those kinds of things you don't learn from a book or from the internet or just talking about it. When you go out there and see it for real and you see the raw truth of everything, mm-hmm. It hits you right away. Like, you go to a different country and it's different from what you see in the news, because in the news they tend to over-report bad news, right? Mm-hmm. And then you go there and you're like, well, there's some really, really caring, lovely people here. Mm-hmm. The latest thing is with the States, like people harping all over Americans. But, I've traveled extensively all throughout the States, and I can tell you that most people are not crazy gun-toting people. I mean, there are people like that. And I've met a few in my travels. I've talked to people who just kind of put me off with their craziness.
Their antics? Yeah.
But for the most part, I've had really good conversations with people down south. So I kind of have a different view on what's going on down there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what are you going to do this weekend?
Well, it's definitely been a bit of a long week, so I think I'm going to lie in bed on Friday and just kind of recuperate from this, right? It's my best friend's birthday on the 21st, so it's going to go out and hang out with my friends and catch up with them. It's really important to kind of stay connected with friends and family, right? So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to be pretty much making all the lessons for next week for all my Law 12 class, right? So that's what I'm going to be doing.
See, that's the life of a teacher, isn't it?
I love it too. That's a weird thing, right? I used to sell batteries, had weekends free, and I literally wanted to jump out the balcony, right, and head first into the concrete. I hated that job so much. Not because it was bad, because it just wasn't a good fit for me. So, when I found a job where I'm very happy and content with, and it kind of aligns with my values, it doesn't really feel like work. It's hard to explain, you know what I mean? I'm interested in the theory even when I get home. I talk to my girlfriend she's also a teacher, right, about educational theory, right, and I wouldn't be talking about sales tactics, right? Who cares about that? Mm-hmm. But personally for me, now that I found a employment, I guess you could say career that I'm really passionate about, I suppose, and I take it quite personally as a deeper reason why I'm doing this. Yeah, it doesn't quite feel like work, and I don't mind, spending the weekends working. I actually quite enjoy it, to be honest. It's exhausting, don't get me wrong, but maybe this is my energy being a new teacher, but it's not as dreadful as everyone says it is.
What are some things that you enjoy about planning over the weekend?
Planning for the week, for the lessons,
planning in general, yeah.
Well, planning in general, pretty much thinking of activities that students could find interesting. So one thing that I quite like doing in my classes, a lot of my grade 10, grade 12, Law 12 students will tell you is that I try to find big idea themes and try to find examples around the world that relate to them personally, right? So for example, I do a lot of modern day, 2012 to 2015 documentary analysis. So we did one about ISIS. I know a lot of students are interested in that. I know a lot of students are interested in gangs in El Salvador, gang violence, quite a bit about that. So, I did a documentary analysis about that. So if you find a project or, a direction how you want to teach students that they find engaging and interesting, right? What could elsewise be a boring topic, it's kind of like hitting a home run, right? You know what I mean? When you see that happen, even when you see students who are generally loud and they're very focused, it's a very satisfying feeling because you're not doing it for yourself, you're doing it for them, and they're engaged in it, they're learning, right? So that's what it all comes down to, I think. I really like the brainstorming idea of it and putting it all together. It's kind of like when you get a whole bucket of Lego, right, and you make a princess castle out of it, right? It's
Princess
an awesome
Castle.
feeling, yeah.
Yeah.
From Super Mario, yeah. with Bowser, right?
Yes.
I'm playing Super Mario 64 on N64 nowadays. My girlfriend's got the old school N64 console, so I've been playing Super Mario 64.
Do you have GoldenEye?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Oh,
the
man, I'm
RCP
coming
90.
over. That's my favorite game ever.
It's so good.
GoldenEye, I'm so good at.
Power weapons
actually,
at a facility?
I didn't actually have the console, but this is weird, but I only played it one night. Actually, it's my favorite game ever.
It's
but
so fun,
I
right?
played it at my friend's place over. It was New Year's Eve, and we were playing it all night. And I was like, "This is such a great game." And I think you can download it for free now. Somebody recreated it for the PC. I don't have a PC at home, unfortunately, but yeah, somebody recreated it, so you can still play that thing. But you have the original.
Yeah, she's got it, so I've been playing it quite a bit lately.
Okay, one of these weekends.
Come over, we'll have a GoldenEye party.
That'd be terrific.
Yeah, Perfect Dark's a good one too, and Super Smash Brothers. That's my game. I really like that game. I played it embarrassingly way too much when I was in high school, so maybe that might be a reason why grades kind of tanked, right? Because I was so good at using Pikachu to kill everyone. But again, that's another game that I thoroughly enjoy playing, and I can say that I'm good at, as sad as that is.
So the games I grew up with were early days because my childhood was in the 80s.
Atari,
so, like Pac-Man. Yeah, I remember my cousin inviting us over, and he had his Atari, and he had E.T. That was a horrible game. Pac-Man, Space Invaders, all those old games, Pong. So I grew up on some of those games. Burger Time, Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong is awesome. I love Donkey Kong.
Yeah, and then I got like an early Apple as an Apple IIe. It wasn't real. It wasn't even a real Apple. Like at that time, they actually had compatible computers. So it was some no-name brand Apple, and played some games on that. And that's kind of in high school. It was like Tomb Raider and Doom, the original Doom, Wolfenstein.
Oh, Wolfenstein was
3D.
So much fun. Where you like press the walls and like you get like the Gatling gun. It was great.
Yeah. Those were good times.
Do you ever play Mr. King? Do you ever play Final Fantasy? That was my thing. I played a lot of Final Fantasy. Yeah. Like Final Fantasy VII was a game that I'll never forget. A couple things in my life I won't forget, and that is my name, my birthday, my home address, and Final Fantasy VII. Yeah.
I saw the movie. Remember that movie where it was all computer graphics?
Oh yeah.
That was the first time I saw something. I was like, wow, they can make people look real. The thing about that, it's tricky because if the people in the movie are even slightly off, I think there's something creepy about that.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's a little too real.
Yeah.
And it's either too real or it's too unrealistic. You know what I mean? They're kind of like blocky and. Like when they're like flying through the air and, like the background's kind of scrolling from left to right, it's like the same picture that's kind of being scrolling, right? So, yeah, it's definitely something that, quite creepy, like you said, right?
Oh, okay. So you're yawning right now during the podcast. That's a good sign.
No. I'm like I said, I was up till 2 last night trying to plan and do report cards, but I'm never short on energy, so keep it coming, right? Yeah.
We've been getting our free coffees all this week, too.
Oh, it's been awesome. Yeah, I've been loving it.
All right. Well, if you have nothing else left to say, I guess that's it.
I've got 5 things to say. Actually, I was talking to one of my...
You have talking points? What is this?
Not a talking point, but actually, they're Dr. Seuss quotes. So if you hold on a second, I just want to whip them out here. It's because they're great life lessons.
All right. That's here. I think I might know some of these quotes.
Yeah, so if I can give anyone out there, all the students or even staff, right, everyone, some advice, right, I'm going to go directly quote Dr. Seuss.
Okay, advice from John
and
Kim.
all the stuff that I've said before, right? So here we go.
Perfect.
5 lessons in life from Dr. Seuss. Today you are you. That is truer than true. There's no one alive who is youer than you. Number 2, why fit in when you're born to stand out? Number 3, you have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes, you can steer yourself in any direction you choose. Number 4, be Be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind. Number 5, today I shall behave as if this is the day I will be remembered.
Wow.
They're actually,
Those are good.
Dr. Seuss, when I was younger, I thought it was just like some creepy, cat in a hat that like, followed you and chased you in your nightmares, right? But when I went back and read those Dr. Seuss books, especially Oh, the Places You'll Go as like an adult, I like gasped. I was like, that's like a life story, right?
Right.
Yeah, and it's actually so true.
You really have to dig deep for Dr. Seuss, because a lot of it on the surface, it's like, because I've read them all to my kids.
But deep down, like
and there's a lot of them that are like, what is this? He just makes up words to make it rhyme.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
But there's something there. Like All the Places You'll Go. Mm-hmm. We've got, we shouldn't tell my kids this, but we bought 2 books, my wife and I, and we've been getting every one of their teachers to sign it, like every year. Mm-hmm. So that by the time they graduate, and they don't know about this, it's like hidden on a shelf. Mm-hmm. So by the time they graduate, they've got these messages from their teachers over the years, which is kind of neat.
Kind of like a gift, I guess, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We just have to remember to get them signed every year. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, it's nice. It's been nice talking to you, and welcome to our staff. This is your first year here, hopefully of many years.
I really love it here. I was telling you actually in the car we were drinking coffee. Uh-huh. I'm not lying about this, right? I definitely like Delview. I've never felt so welcomed, and I've never connected so well with the students as I have at Delview. So I wish I'm here for for a very long time as well, right? So
well, you certainly have a really good rapport with the students and the staff. So you definitely fit in very well, and like you were saying, I guess you get to be yourself when you're here.
Mm-hmm. And I do, right? So Mr. Nikic and I always pull pranks on each other, right? Yeah. So
it's fun.
And with the staff, and everyone here is just so wonderful. And I'm not just saying that just for the sake of saying it, but I do truly mean it. You can tell because the energy level, right? You'll know when I'm in a good place because I talk a lot. I've been talking for like an hour, right? And I get very energetic and passionate. So everyone knows how appreciative I feel of being here, right? And how welcomed I feel. So even after I leave, even if I leave, right? Which I guess when I leave because I'm a beginning teacher, right? Hopefully not, but hopefully not. But again, if that does happen, this is definitely a school and a year that will forever be in my mind, and I'm not just saying that again, right?
Wow.
So again, Final Fantasy VII, my birthday, my name, and my address, and actually my time at Delview. So let's just say that.
Beautiful, beautiful way.
All right.
Okay. Thanks, John.
Okay, thank you, John. Thank you, JK. Awesome.
Well, we have 2 JKs. We have so many Johns at the school now.
I know.
But it's terrific. I love it.
It's terrific. It's fantastic.
Whenever somebody yells John in the staff room, it's
like we both turn around like, huh? Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, bye, Delview. Good night.